Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Sales Team Rescue, episode number 55. I'm your host, Jeremy DeMerchant, and I'm really excited to be here with you today. First of all, we're going to go solo today because there's something very important that I want to share with you. And it has to do with something that I'm personally experiencing right now, but it's been such a vital piece of sales success for myself, for entrepreneurs that I've worked with, for sales teams that I've run. It's so important. And that piece is visualizing your goals. So you've heard of people talk about vision boards and how your mind doesn't know whether something is real or fake when you're thinking about it. And these are great things, but I want to put it in the context of sales. What does that mean? And so I don't want to get all like uh, I don't want to take it to too much of a woo-woo place, but to be clear, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a firm believer that if you put it out there, you will get what you want. And that has worked very well for me in my life, in my world. So I'm very grateful for that. And for the purposes of people running sales teams or people, salespeople, sales professionals, sales managers, VP of sales, sales directors, even CEOs of companies, this is so vitally important that you have your team and every single person in your team, no matter what level they're at, figure out a way to set some visual representation of their goals. And again, this is because your mind doesn't know, your subconscious doesn't know what's real and what's pretend when you're thinking about something. People talk about meditating, some people pray, and they're focusing on their goals. Your mind doesn't know what's real, what's not. And I want to share a very interesting thing before I get into the logistics here. But a few weeks ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, a coach of mine, past guest as well, Lorianne Murabito. And she talked about a program that she's running where she got everybody in her group to order some pretend money. And she says, Jeremy, you should do it too. So I did. So I invested a couple bucks and got a stack of cash. And I got a stack of $10,000 of fake money. Okay, fake money, not pretending it's real. But my mind doesn't, my subconscious doesn't know the difference. And so I've had this money sitting here for the last couple weeks, I guess. And I'm playing with it every day. And the whole idea is this. When we look at money coming in, we can get really, really excited. Like, oh, I closed that 5K deal. I closed that 10K deal. I got, $1,000 in commission or whatever. We can get really, really excited about it. But what's even more powerful is making it feel like that big accomplishment isn't unattainable. It isn't that big of a deal. And you want to celebrate it. But what I did was get myself used to regularly having $10,000 in front of me. And I want to talk about how this can work for you too. Now, this isn't the only solution, but it's great. It worked for me. I had this money in front of me, and within a week and a half, out of nowhere, a new $10,000 showed up in my world that was completely unexpected from sources I did not even think about. Okay, that happened for me. And so I want to talk about how that's relevant to you. You might think, Jeremy, great. Congratulations, you made 10 grand. Woot, woot. What does that mean to me? And what it means for you is this. One, if you have a goal, no matter what it is, have something to represent it. Got the cash. I've got a vision board that needs to be updated, but I have one. And I continually put this stuff in front of me. And in the sales world, one thing that I think is going to be really powerful for you and your team is to have visual dashboards. Now, if you haven't played with this stuff, then this might be new for you, and that's okay. But there's dashboards that can be built in with CRMs, client relationship management systems. There's many different dashboard options, and I'm not going to get into exactly what the tech needs to be. I want to get into the idea. And if you can create a visual representation of where you are versus where you want to be, then it's going to help you stay on track. It's going to help you keep that goal front of mind. And so there's dashboards that you can create, like one common CRM that I use and I'm a reseller for is Zoho CRM. And as part of this, there's a piece, if you use Zoho One, which is the all-in-one feature, If there's a piece there where you can actually see progress, you can set targets for people, and you can watch based on how you track it within the CRM, how many sales are closed versus how many sales you want to have, and how far you are to your target. Now, as an entrepreneur, you might not need that kind of dashboard. You might have a software like QuickBooks or something where you're keeping your books in there, and your bookkeeper, your accountant is making sure it stays updated. So you can see at any point in the month where you're at financially. But keep in mind where you want to be. What's that goal? Keep that goal in front of you like a carrot that's just dangling out in front of you, and you want to chase it. You've heard the phrase, keep your eye on the prize. And this is what we're talking about here. How do you keep that prize in front of you, in front of your VP of sales, in front of your sales director, your sales manager, your sales reps? How do you do this? And so when we keep that goal front and center, it makes it real. And it allows us to minimize distraction. So one of the most powerful yet detrimental things that we deal with in sales and we deal with in business is getting distracted. As I'm saying this, my email client just popped open even though I'd closed it. So it distracted me for a second. See, there's always distractions coming at us. So how do we make, like some people will say, chase your why. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you putting in the work? Why are you putting in the hours? Why do you want to close X number of sales? Why do you want to be aligned with the business's vision that you represent? What's in it for you? And the why is good, but I want to challenge you a little bit because there's a step, like there's a big why. I'm doing this because I want to create a life of freedom and location independence and be able to spend time with my future children without having to worry about a work schedule. Okay, that's kind of my why, not exactly, but that's an example. And so that's great, but what do you have to do to get there? Right? You need to have those measurable, those quantifiable milestones as you go to get there. And so what does that look like for you? Well, if you're in sales, you've got a monthly target at a minimum, right? You want to have a specific target. What do we want to get to? What's the goal? And how do we get there? And you probably got a quarterly goal. You probably got an annual goal, depending on the company you work for. And of course, if you're the manager, director, CEO, maybe you're influencing setting those targets. But you may not know what the year-long target is. You might be super focused on what is it for this month. And that's a really great way to be, because it doesn't matter what happens beyond the month yet. You need to focus on what's happening now. You want to, put some pieces in the pipeline for the future, but don't worry about what happens 60 days from now. From a sales perspective, from focusing on doing the activities you need to close, depending on your sales cycle, it probably makes more sense to focus on what are we doing for this month. Maybe it's what are we doing for this week? You have a short sales cycle. What can you do to get deals closed now? How can we move that needle so that you're getting more sales more quickly? How do we shorten that sales cycle? Well, there's lots of solutions and lots of strategies. But before you get to that, you've got to be clear on what the goal is. What is the thing you're focusing on? I, at one point had my dream car on my vision board. One of my dream cars, not the dream car. The dream car. Actually, here's an example. Just going to reach over here. My dream car is a Maserati. And for those of you that are watching or that are listening to the podcast, you can't see this, but in my hand, I have a toy car that is a burgundy Maserati. That is almost exactly what I want. And this stays in front of me every single day. Now, this thing is only, 2-3 inches long. Like it's a tiny little car. But it reminds me what I want. And it's not a tomorrow thing. It's not a next week thing. It keeps me focused on the long term. But I know to get there, there's some pieces I need to do in my life. There's some pieces I need to create financially for myself. And there's some things that I need to do even just this month or this week to get there. So I'm going to map out that timeline. I want to have it set so that I know what makes sense for me, what I need to focus on for the next 7 days, the next 14 days, the next 28 days, or 30 days, I guess, for a month. Right? I want to be able to keep that timeline in front of me and be very visual. So long term, see what your reps, what your team is interested in. What do they want to achieve? Do they have a car sitting on their desk? Do they have their Maserati, the die-cast model version of the car that they want? Or maybe it's very particular to the dollar amount. Maybe they've got something else in mind and they just are focusing on the money. And so it is, again, guys, this is fake cash. So those of you that are listening, I am playing with $10,000 in cash, but it's fake cash right now. That I bought off Amazon for $18. Okay. I'm not trying to pass it off as money. But I'm putting it in front of my brain, in front of my eyes to absorb it, to focus on what I want to achieve. So I want 10 grand to be a regular thing on my desk. I want 10 grand to be a daily thing on my desk, right? So I don't get 10 grand every single day in my business. My business does well, but not 10 grand a day. Let's get there, right? So it's in front of me. I want it to be normal. In fact, if I'm going to be totally transparent, I actually have a second stack of bills. Oh, maybe put them together. Maybe this is the 20,000. Anyway, $20,000 total. Okay. So it's because 10 grand, I want to think bigger. I want to be okay with 20 grand a day coming into my business. So I'm training my mind. So for your sales reps, this is the key piece though. Keep those targets in front of them, but understand what that target really means to them. So, hey, look, I've got a rep on my team. Let's say his name is James. And we say, James, okay, we've got a sales target this month and we want to bring it. I'm going to totally pull a number out of the air here. But let's say that we need you to close $500,000 in business for the month. Okay. I don't care about the product. That doesn't matter for this example. But what that means to James, if he closes $500,000 for the month, that might be a $15,000 bonus check, let's just say. Now, the money is good, right? He wants his 15 grand. But what's more important is what he wants to use that 15 grand for. Okay, I put a push financially in my business recently because I'm paying for a wedding. I want to talk about a why, okay? And so it forced me to push myself. It forced me to challenge myself. What should I be doing that I'm not? And if you can make that why big enough, like the reason why you want to be successful for this month, if you can put that front and center, then it'll drive people. You know, we think that the sales reps are often just driven by commission, and they're not. They're driven by what the commission can do for them. Okay, yeah, you see these in the movies. It's all about making the money, but it's about the lifestyle. It's about what happens when you get that. So connect that. You don't need to have the biggest compensation plan to be able to attract awesome reps. You just need to be able to have a clear visual path to how your reps will make the money that will get them one step closer to that goal that they have. And so part of this can be the visual dashboards as far as tracking the short-term performance. But you got to get to know your team. Know what they want to achieve. Know what goals they have for themselves in the short term and the long term. And let them be comfortable sharing them with you. And if you are a sales rep, think about this. Like, what is it that you really want? And get as clear as you possibly can on it. And it's not that it's not allowed to change, because it will. But for now, get clear on what it is for you today. And run in that direction 100 miles an hour until you hit a brick wall. Pivot. And then run 100 miles an hour in the other direction. Okay. Stay super focused on the goal as it is today. And if it needs to evolve as you move closer to it, by all means, that's fine. It's your goal. Do whatever you want with it. But if you can get clear on your goal and understand what your performance today, what performance you can do today to impact it. Okay. Understand what your performance today can do to get you close to that goal, then things aren't going to feel like work. Or at least if they do, you're more likely to push yourself harder and work longer to get there. Or maybe it's smarter, right? Maybe your goal is to have a certain amount of money by the end of the year because you want a down payment on a house. Okay, maybe you know exactly what the down payment needs to be for your dream home and you're ready to go. Great. So you've got that dollar amount. How do we make it? Well, based on your commission structure, if you're a sales rep, you know that you need to have this much in sales closed and money in your hand by that date. Great. And then just work your way backwards. What do you need to do monthly? What do you need to do weekly? What do you need to do daily to make sure that happens? But visualize it. Have it in front of you, guys. And this is the big thing. I'm not worried about the techniques, the strategies right now. I just want to talk about pure drive, pure motivation, what it takes to have somebody, no matter who you are in the company, what role you have, what level you're at, what does it take for you to keep yourself focused on what you want to achieve? My priority was generating an extra 10 grand. And it happened. Part of it was absolutely sales. Part of it was being creative. But it happened. I don't want to say it like that. That's not right. But it took some focus. But I'm literally talking a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks from when I first went, okay, let's do this. No, it was a week and a half. It was a week and a half because when I decided I needed to generate an extra $10,000, it was last Sunday and I'm recording this on Wednesday. So it was a week and a half. It's there. So you might say, Jeremy, you can do this, but I can't do it because of this, that, and the other thing. I need you to have faith that you can. And I need you to align everything you do to move towards it. What can you do? What do you need to do today to get yourself closer? Will working 1 extra hour in your business tonight give you that advantage that you can move forward more quickly? Are there things that you should be focusing your time on, but you're always getting sidetracked by social media or someone else's problems? Stay focused on the goal and use something visual to do it. Keep that stack of cash. And guys, I know there's some of you out there that you're seeing the stack of cash and you're going, oh man, this guy, he's a jerk or whatever. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. Stack of fake cash can get your head right. I had a conversation with a client yesterday, total rockstar client. And we were having a conversation, and I don't know whether this is my quote or not. It came out of my mouth. I don't know if anyone else has said it, but I said something to the effect of, if your mind's not right, or if your mind's wrong, you can do no right. But if your mind's right, you can do no wrong. And all the sales games that we play, they are the 6 inches between your ears. It's all in your mind. Your focus. If you're resistant to part of your sales process, you're resistant to something in coaching your sales reps, it's in your mind. And you need to own it. And to own it, you need to get your head right. You need to acknowledge, hey, look, this is what I'm resisting, but why? Well, if maybe you're nervous because you don't like offending somebody and you got to give coaching feedback to one of your reps, for example. And you're nervous, they're going to be upset with you. You don't know how to handle it. Maybe you don't have proper training on how to deliver feedback. That's cool. It's not cool. You should join Toastmasters or get more support from your manager or your director. But let's just say that's the situation. Well, think, okay, if I do this, if I can deliver this feedback in a way that helps the rep take it and apply it, that's going to help them get closer to their goal. You can feel good about that. It's going to help me get closer to my goal. You should also feel good about that. And so whenever you have a moment where there's something you know you need to do, something that you are 100% confident will help move you closer to your goal, even though you don't want to do it, I want you to look to that visual thing. And now I'm reaching over to grab that car again, my Maserati, okay, my little die-cast toy car here. I want you to look at it. Or maybe it's whatever the stack of cash represents, if it's the cash. Let's make it real. Focus on it and say, look, how bad do I want it? How bad do I want it? Am I willing to be uncomfortable for the next 30 minutes? Okay, if you're a sales rep or a business development rep, maybe you don't like those cold calls. Are you willing to be uncomfortable to make the magic happen, to get you to your goal? And in the moment, it's easy to say, no, I don't want to do it. But if you have a visual reminder in front of you, whether it's showing you like a gauge, like a tachometer style gauge on a dashboard on your CRM, or a sales leaderboard, or whatever it is from the actual sales side, and you're like, I got to get there. And I know I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to do cold calls for the next 3 hours, and I'm not going to love it. But after 3 hours of cold calling, pretty confident I'm going to get myself at least, I don't know, let's just say 20 people pick up, and you end up having 5 appointments, and it turns into 2 closed sales. Let's just say. So essentially you're saying, am I willing to invest 3 hours to close 2 sales? Yeah, the answer is yes. So think of it that way. How are you willing to push yourself when you focus on something different, when you focus on a different outcome? This is not about closing the sale. And guys, you can talk about how much you want to change somebody's life. And that's cool. Like, I get it. You want to do something that's good in the world. And you've all heard the analogy where if you're in a plane and the pressure changes and those air masks drop, You got to put the air mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else. And I want you to think about that in business. Business doesn't survive off kindness. Sales don't get made purely off kindness. In sales, I'm a firm believer, and I think I might have used this analogy somewhere in the last couple of weeks, but I'm a firm believer that if you are going to be a sales rep or a manager or a director or VP of sales or even CEO, with that comes a responsibility to do what is needed to move the company forward, to move the prospect forward, to move the sale forward. And sometimes that means that you need to challenge somebody. You need to push them outside their comfort zone, and you need to be a leader. So the analogy that I use is it's like Batman in Dark Knight, where they say that you might not be the hero that the city wants, but be the hero the city needs. Think about that. What can you do that's going to help move somebody forward? It's going to help you move you forward. It's going to help your team move forward. That's what we're doing day after day. We're moving forward. And if you have something visual, the money, the toy car I got here, the vision board in front of you, maybe it's a picture of your family and you want to take them on a vacation. Maybe it's the house you want, the cottage you want, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You choose something that means something to you and keep it front and center to focus on. And for managers, directors, when you're designing processes for your sales team, 1, make sure they're clear on their immediate goals. 2, create a way to show them visually, okay, where they are versus where they want to be. Dashboards that are built into CRMs or even dashboard software that's separate. They're fantastic tools. You can put them on a TV in the office if you have a physical office. I've got a TV actually pinned on my wall over here that I look at. So if I need to remind myself of something, it acts as an additional screen. So even if you've got a team that's working from home, create a dashboard system so that they can bring up a dashboard and see where everybody's at. And then, and this is the most important part, I want you to learn why achieving that monthly goal is important to your rep. Or if you're the rep, be clear on why achieving that monthly goal is important to you. Why do you want to make, the $500,000 in sales? What does that mean to you? Is that $15,000 in commission? Great. What are you going to do with that? Be smart. Set some aside for taxes. Okay. Some of us have had that experience. Set some aside for taxes. Take care of Uncle Sam. But then what? What are you going to do? And when you decide what you're going to do, and it's not, I mean, you can buy something kind of frivolous and celebrate if you want, but put it somewhere that makes sense. Like, hey, I want a new MacBook. Cool. Is it going to help you move your business forward? Maybe, depending on what you're using right now. But maybe you want to go put it towards something that you're going to invest more money in your business, or you want to put it towards setting money aside for your child's education, or you want to put it towards some side hustle that you're doing, or you want to put it towards a ring, or you want to put it towards the new car, or whatever it is. But I want you to connect with that emotional side of what that means to you, that goal, because I promise you, the speed in which you move towards achieving a goal is directly related to how clear you are and how it's going to help you achieve what's most important to you. Okay, so think about that. Make it so your team, so that everything is visual. Keep it in front of yourself, in front of your team. Make sure there's something to chase. I want to close 10 grand in business. I want to close 50 grand in business. I want to close $500,000 in business. Why? Not just to keep your job. That's not going to do it. People will take action to move towards something they want or avoid something that they don't want. Get clear on what that is to you. Get clear on what that is to your team. Get clear on why it matters to them. And then be teammates with them. No matter what role you actually play, do what you can to help them get there. If the goals that you want them to achieve for the company are aligned with the goals they want to achieve outside the company, you have a much higher chance of them being achieved. And if you can associate something visual to them, you're in a really, really good spot. You're going to see the results skyrocket. Okay, guys. So that's it for today. That was episode number 55 of Sales Team Rescue. When you want your team to achieve your goals, make sure that you associate the business goals to their personal goals. Okay. What's in it for them? And then make sure there's a clear and obvious and visual way to track it or to represent it. Keep that goal front and center so that people are clear on what they have to achieve and make it easy for them to know what to do to get there. And if you do that, you will see your sales skyrocket. Okay, guys, thanks for checking out Sales Team Rescue. If you want to book your sales team strategy session with me, go to salesteamrescue.com. And we will see you next week right here, Wednesday at 2 p.m. on Headspace TV for another great episode. Remember, guys, get uncomfortable, get results. Cheers.